You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to bring you the inspiration and motivation you need to get started in the outdoors or to keep you moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Hi friends, thanks for listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast today. We have an amazing guest who has an amazing story, probably more than one, but one in particular that we're going to talk about. Our guest is Patrick Yalon, and Patrick has written a book called Still Here, which is the account of this amazing story we're going to talk about. But Patrick has been involved in adventure sports for a while. He's an ultra runner. He likes backpacking, hiking, especially surfing and the ultra running. He also does road biking, and it just goes on and on and on, as you would expect, just a powerful individual. But back in July of 2024, he had a surfing accident that left him paralyzed. He actually died for a period of time. He was resuscitated, had a spinal fusion surgery, and then, are you ready for this? 3 months later, he runs the Moab 240, which seems impossible to go from paralyzed and spinal surgery, but that's part of the story, and I want to hear all the details. Patrick, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast.
Good morning, Kurt. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. What an amazing story, and just amazing feats as well. I mean, the stuff that you do. Let's start with a simple question. Where do you live? Where are you talking to us from?
Sure, yeah. I was born and raised in San Francisco, California, and still out here now.
San Fran.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot about San Francisco, except that it's a really cool area. And we've talked to a lot of guests that are in that area, and it just seems to be like it's kind of a hub for big adventure sports. Am I right about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The area is just gorgeous. Like in San Francisco, there's so many parks. We got the ocean here. There's so much cool stuff to do. And then, you go right outside it. You can go to Marin County. You can go to Sonoma County. We got Lake Tahoe about 3.5 hours away. Yosemite about 4 hours away. So there's just a ton to do out here.
So cool. And of course, you have the ocean, which is great. How is the surfing around San Francisco?
The surf in San Francisco, Ocean Beach, is kind of notoriously a really tough beach. It's really powerful, a lot of sneaker waves. The current is really strong, so it is a dangerous beach as well. And it's not really a beginner-friendly wave, I would say. It's it's always an adventure going out there. Really powerful.
How long have you been surfing?
20 plus years. Yeah, it's been a while.
A bit.
Yeah.
So long enough to enjoy those kind of conditions.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
You just kind of, this is where I learned to surf, and I feel like if you can navigate these elements and learn to surf here, you can surf mostly anywhere.
Well, I obviously want to get into the story behind the book, Still Here, but let's talk about surfing just a little bit more first. Why did you start? What got you into it?
Started surfing when I was a teenager. I had friends into it, and then, Ocean Beach out here is right in my backyard. I was always fascinated with it, and, just went for it, and, kind of started with a group of friends, and it was more trial by fire. And no one really helps you out too much. It's just kind of like each man on their own, and you either learn and adapt, or you just kind of fail out. I was just really determined just to keep going, and just really enjoyed it, and just being out there, being in the elements, and there's just something majestic and, lovely about it. So it just became a huge part of my life, and surfing took me all over the world. I helped start a place down in Nicaragua. It was a hotel based right on the beach outside of a town called San Juan del Sur. And we kind of catered towards surfing, healthy living, and yeah, just other places. I've been all over the place surfing.
Pat, I've talked to a few people about surfing, and I don't remember, I might be wrong, but I don't remember anyone saying, "Oh yeah, it's all right. I don't know." I never get that. It's either, "Whoa, that's too hard for me. Can't do it. Not my thing," or "I love it. It's my life."
Yeah.
It's like one of those on-off things. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just one of those things that you can fall in love with pretty quick. Something about just being out there, being in the water, I just feel very connected and feel at home when I'm out there. But you're right, with some people, you'll give it a go a few times and it's just not your thing because it's difficult. And it can be very uncomfortable for people, especially out here. The water is freezing and it's just not the most forgiving place. So yeah, some people will wash out and then some people it becomes an addiction, and it's just a huge part of your life.
This is a hard question, but I'd like to hear your perspective. What has it done for you? I mean, as a life, what has it done for you?
Surfing honestly became such a core element of my life. It was just a lot of stuff that I did was based around it. My day, just kind of planning when I could go surf, always checking the waves, seeing what the forecast is, seeing what it's looking like, checking the winds. And then, a lot of my travel was based around places that I could surf in and just different waves that I could check off my list and experience. So surfing really became just a focal point in my life for a long time.
I think it's just such a cool looking sport. We've all seen either in person or on TV or on YouTube or whatever, but guys and gals just working the waves, going through the curl, shooting back up. I mean, I can't describe it all. I don't even know the names of the tricks, but I can say that it just has one of the most visually appealing sports that are out there.
Right.
I mean, compare that to your ultra running. If you're ultra running, you go by, oh, there goes a runner. Right? But if you're surfing and you catch a wave, everyone's like, wow, check that one out. There's just something about it.
Right. Yeah, it's very appealing, obviously, but I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of dedication and the amount of work it takes to get really good at the sport and to just handle yourself out there. It's a lot of hours put into the water that you need to do. Yeah.
Does it help if you're good at skateboarding or snowboarding or something like that when you try surfing? Or is it usually the other way around?
I always thought so. Like I started off skateboarding when I was younger. I think that was my thing before I got into surfing. And surfing is kind of just a whole different animal, like being out and riding like a moving, living thing. It's just a lot more difficult. I would say it took me a solid, year and a half to get comfortable standing up on waves and going. You have to take a lot of beat downs and kind of earn your way to getting any halfway decent out there in the water.
Do you have to be really fit to be good at this?
It helps. I mean, there are certain places you can go, certain breaks where it's just kind of easy, beginner friendly, like longboard style. And there are places that are not. At Ocean Beach, it's like I was saying, it's consistently treacherous. And even on smaller days, it's pretty difficult to paddle out into the lineup because there's just wave after wave. You're really paying your dues getting out there. And it's like an art form, learning how to get out into the lineup and read it. You're always going to be tired from a session out here just because there's so much paddling involved with everything.
So especially there, it's not for the faint at heart, I guess. Right. You got to go for it.
For sure.
And so you learned in one of the hardest places.
Yeah. Took a lot of beat downs. Really paid my dues and just was humbled a lot of times surfing out here. But like I said, just learning out here, I think it really prepared me and set me up for a lot of other places in the world because I was like, if I can get out here I go to other places and I just paddle out and I'm like, okay, well, that was really easy compared to what I'm used to back home, Yeah.
Right. I don't know how many surfers there are in the world, but because you have to be where there's surf, that limits it somewhat. But I always think about surfing. I'm landlocked. I've done some body surfing. I've been on a surfboard just one day and had a great time, but it beat me to pieces. But I always find it just so romantic to see people that know how to work with the water, how to read the water, and then you hear people almost spiritualize it. You get this vibe, oh, there's the wave, it's coming, and no one else even sees it or whatever it is. I mean, how much of that is exaggeration and how much of that is reality?
There's a lot of visualization in this, a lot of, seeing myself. I'm constantly as I was growing up, I was constantly just envisioning myself getting better, being better, always daydreaming of the waves, daydreaming of what it would feel like being out there on certain days. A lot of anticipation about going out. And then it was just every day, like getting through the work day and just getting down to the beach and getting out there. It was just like, I felt like so at peace when I got out in the water and being out there, even on days where it's like big and you're like paddling for survival out there. It was just like, I don't know, I feel like at home when I'm out in the water. And like I said, it just became an enormous part of my life. And like the ocean was just a part of me.
Well, you do a lot of other big adventure sports too. When did you start doing your ultra running?
Ultra running kind of came a little later in my life. And I just kind of got into it. I don't know. I was looking for more challenges for myself. And on a whim, I signed up for a 50K that took place in Yosemite. And man, it was like in the 90s. And this was like a tougher one that ended up being about 35 miles and maybe 8,000 feet of elevation gain. But I did it and kind of fell in love with it. The challenge, being able to push yourself, and similarities with being out in the ocean, being out in the mountains, being out in the hills and the forest, just the connection to nature. And I think on that particular race, I finished in like 7th place. And I was like, maybe I'm onto something here.
Nice.
So then, it just became like another addiction of mine where I just kept signing up for these races and just loved it. Yeah.
Did you train much for that first 50K?
People like to ask me that question, like, how do you train and stuff? And I'm just like, I'm a little unorthodox with that. I'm like, I just kind of train for life in general. Like, running and working out is just a part of me. Like, I do it, being disciplined. And then I really think it helps me out in life in general. Just, it helps my mental health. And, being fit, looking fit helps your mental side as well. But, for training for this, like, I feel like I'm always doing something every day. I don't really follow a plan per se. It's just kind of like, just keep moving, keep training.
I was talking to a friend of mine who lives near us here. We're out mountain biking, and he says, yeah, today is training for tomorrow. And I said, oh, really? What's happening tomorrow? He says, tomorrow, and that'll be training for the next day. And
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his approach, and it worked. He's really, really good mountain biker. Powerful, fast, talented, But I think that's kind of the way that it works for people that really go for it. It's not as much about an event as it is about a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fitness is a lifestyle. And then, finding your sport, finding your adventures. It's just something that, we talk about training. Training is for life, just being ready to go and being disciplined to do it every single day.
How do you find the time?
Just make the time. I mean, we could all make excuses for everything, work, family, life. But, even if I know that I'm going to have a full day, I'll get up early and make sure that I do my training before I go to work or before my events, just to make sure that I'm getting it in.
That's something that I think a lot of people maybe don't latch on to. A lot of people that I talk to, it's more like, okay, I'm going to train because I want to try to do a marathon in 6 months.
Right.
Instead of, no, this is the way I live because I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good to have goals, right? It's good to have goals and be training for that. And that might work for certain people. But for me, it's just going back to, I just train for life and train for myself. If I don't get my running, get my surfing, get my biking in, whatever it may be. I just don't feel like complete that day. And I'm always like, it's always in the back of my mind. I'm like, man, I still got to do something. I still got to do something, you know?
I interviewed a fellow that's also in San Francisco a few months back, and his recommendation was do it every day. Whatever it is, do it every day, because your body starts to, it's not necessarily an addiction, but it's an expectation. Your body feels good because you're active, and when you don't do it, you don't feel good, and then that way you stay active. And I think maybe that's the part that so many people miss. You know, because they're like, well, I really ought to go do, you know. But if they do a little bit every day, eventually it turns into, wow, I can't not do this.
Yeah, for sure. And it just, don't negotiate with yourself. You know, you just tell yourself, this is what we do. This is what we do. It's not just like, I should do this. It's like, no, this is what we do. We do this every day.
That's good. I talked to a gal who is an amazing runner. And she kept her running shoes right by the door and maybe some rain gear, whatever she needed. It was always there, so she couldn't even go out her door without passing right by the thing that she does every day. And her point was, you don't decide. It's not like, oh, the weather, or I feel this way, or, you know, maybe tomorrow it'll be nicer. She goes, no, it's what we do.
Right.
There's no decision. It is the thing, you know?
I can't tell you the amount of times that, you know, I've had resistance in my mind, or I'm just like, no, I'm comfortable. I'm on the couch. I'm hanging out. Like, it's good. I can take a day off. But all those times that I decided to, you know, kind of put those comfort voices in my mind aside and actually do training, going out, doing whatever, like, I am 1,000% better afterwards just for doing that. And I'm just like, man, I'm so happy that I did that, because I feel so much better. And if I had chose to just stay on the couch or whatever and just skip this, I know that I would be thinking about it and be like, oh, I should have done that. And instead, like, you know, you do these and it's just a reward to yourself. You just feel so much better about everything afterwards.
You know, Patrick, you're inspiring me. I've had a lot of injuries over the last 3 or 4 years, and I've had a lot of time on the bench.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself, well, do what you can until you can do what you want. You know, keep doing something.
Right.
And so instead of mountain biking, I started lifting weights. And, you know, or instead of mountain climbing, maybe I would mountain bike or whatever I could do. But the problem is I still let it slow me down too much. I need to get back to where you are, and you're inspiring me. It's like, oh, yeah, I do miss that feeling. Yeah. I mean, you can describe it better than me, but there's something about my body feels like it worked, and I love it.
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, it's just kind of like you're saying, it's like, you know, we can't control injuries a lot of times, but you can control how you react to them. And it's just, you know, something happens and you can't run, you can't bike. Well, what can I do? Can I go walk around the block slowly? Can I get to the weight room and still lift some weights? What can I do that's not going to make my injury worse, but still keep me active, you know? And it's like, there's a fine line between pushing yourself through injuries or just pivoting and adapting and still staying active, something that's not going to make your injury worse.
I asked this question to a lot of people, and I'm still waiting for the perfect answer. Everyone has their version of this, but when I was a kid, I was in cross-country track, and I was trying to train to win the next position on the team, and I overdid it. I was going too big too soon, and I got a stress fracture. I broke my fibula, and I was like, well, that didn't work. So the question that came out of that was, when do you stop because you're about to really hurt yourself? And when is it just a part of the normal grind, the grit that's required to get through the run or the ride, or, you know what I mean? How do you tell the difference?
I guess for myself, the best answer that I could say with that is that I know the difference between good pain and bad pain. So, you know, good pain being that pain that you can push yourself through a workout, push yourself through a run, a biking session where you're feeling pushed and you're working hard and your body is just like in pain from the work that you're putting in through it, but you know that it's not going to be detrimental to you, that it's something that's actually going to be beneficial, and you're building muscle, you're building strength, you know, that feeling. Whereas bad pain is like, I have a horrible knee injury and I'm continuing to run on this and every step is excruciating. It's just kind of like, that's when you take a step back and you're like, okay, maybe you should actually listen to your body and, you know, just either rest on it for a little bit, or just like I'm saying, like pivot and adapt to something that is not going to be stressful to your knee, but you're still being active.
Hey, a brief coming-of-age story. When I was 17, my mom and dad and my sister and I decided to do an extended family road trip. We made it as far south as Carlsbad, as far west as Sequoia National Park and Yosemite National Parks. We made it as far north as Glacier National Park. But there, I split off from the family. They went home, and I went to Seattle. I met my friend Jason. He and I traveled all the way across Canada, down the eastern seaboard in a 1968 Volkswagen, and we camped in a tent the whole way across the North American continent. I came back changed. In many ways, I left home a boy and returned home a man. It was life-impacting. We didn't fly over the North American continent. We traveled through it. If you would like to connect the dots of this continent, then today's sponsor is here to help. I'm talking about Outdoorsy, of course. Outdoorsy has thousands of RVs and campers nationwide. They're available right in your neighborhood, and you can drive it yourself, you can tow it, you can actually have it delivered and fully set up your destination if you want to. They have comprehensive insurance, 24/7 customer service, roadside assistance, so you have built-in peace of mind. It's a great value. It's often less expensive than hotels, and it allows for a really fun family and group approach to travel. It's available to renters 21 years and older. So get your RV in 3 simple steps. You search through the inventory and choose one that's right for your trip and your group size. Book it with confidence and hit the road. It's that easy. This summer is massive. Think about this. The big international soccer tournament coming to North America. America's 250th anniversary with celebrations across the country. The 100th anniversary of Route 66. It's one of the most iconic road trip routes ever, and I have traveled much of that. It's really cool. An RV isn't just transportation, it's how you can stay closer to the action. Think for a moment about family reunions in RVs. How about traveling with parents or grandkids, friends, or even pets? How about getting closer to the trailhead or the river or the beach than the hotel allows? And how fun would it be to have an RV for music festival weekends? And you can save money by using the code ASP when you book your RV. Right now, my listeners can have all the service fees removed from their booking in 2026 with the code ASP at outdoorsy.com. That's OUTDOORSY.com, and use the code ASP at checkout to remove those service fees. Why not take the time to actually see this amazing nation we live in and let Outdoorsy.com make it easier for you? Hey friends, let's talk about chewing gum for a moment. Nathan and Sons asked that I run this ad for them, and my first thought was, if this isn't really healthy, good stuff, I don't want to do it. I'd had their gum already, and I found it kind of unique and fresh, but I wanted to make sure that it was a product that I could stand behind. So I looked into it, I looked at all their ingredients, I looked at the product, and actually I'm very impressed. It's quickly apparent that this isn't regular gum. This is remineralizing gum. That's a mouthful. You know, you brush your teeth in the morning and at night, but after lunch there's this gap where most of us do nothing for our teeth. Underbrush is made for that moment. You chew it for 5 or 10 minutes, then spit it out and move on. Or, of course, you can keep chewing it. I mean, it's good gum. It's made with hydroxyapatite. It's the same mineral that your enamel is made from. And natural saps. This is the cool part, like mastic and spruce. So it has this firmer, really satisfying chew. They actually make it themselves from scratch. The company is only a few years old, and the team is literally making, packing, and shipping gum every day. So if you want a simple daily upgrade for your teeth, check out Underbrush from Nathan and Sons. Some of the listeners are out there going, they're speaking a foreign language. What on earth? I mean, how do people do this every day, every day, every day? You know, they're thinking, if I get to aerobics once or twice a month, I feel like I did something. What would you say to someone who is in that position?
It's discipline. You just got to keep going. Goes back to what I'm saying. You just got to, it's a lot of the mentality of how you speak to yourself. And instead of saying like, maybe I should work out today, it's like, no, don't compromise being like, this is what we do now. When you start framing your mind around that and telling yourself, this is what we do now, this is who we are, your perspective will change a little bit. And you're just able to become that disciplined human being that can get out there every day and do something.
Wow. I want to get back to surfing and especially what happened back in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
But just to kind of characterize this, how often do you run an ultra and what kind of ultras have you done?
I was doing a lot more ultras before the accident. So a lot of 50Ks, a lot of 100Ks, stuff like that. And then I eventually built myself up and I have run the Moab 240. I applied for the Coconut 250 and yesterday they had the lottery. I got put on the wait list. So we'll see what happens with that. And then,
maybe.
I mean, I hope I do, but we'll see. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Otherwise, just pivot, adapt, do something else. I ran 100K out here a few weeks back, and then this previous weekend I ran the Reno Tahoe Odyssey, which is a race around Lake Tahoe. It's 178 miles, starts and ends in Reno, Nevada. And I ran it with a team. There was 11 of us, and we raised $40,000 for a friend that has ALS. So I'm proud of that. Yeah, but for me, I'm continuously just looking for races that kind of speak to me, that call to me, and where I envision myself just challenging myself and pushing me through. I think that we grow a lot from difficult experiences, from pushing yourself physically. So I'm always kind of looking for what that next race is going to be for me in that sense.
And then we get the challenges that we didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
The ones you don't really plan for. Tell us the story about July 10th, 2024.
Sure. So, I mean, it was, a normal day, summertime here in San Francisco. I rode my bicycle home from work. I saw one of my friends on my block, my friend John, and we just talked about surfing, and we're like, should we just go take a look? We take a look. It's, nothing special, just like a windswept, gray, foggy, overcast day here. The waves weren't really any good, but we call it a maintenance session, which means, you haven't been out in a little while, so let's just go get some exercise and just have a little fun, keep the expectations low. We suited up, walked down. I just live a couple blocks from the beach. And I remember going out, and it was a very low tide, and there were a lot of sandbars exposed, which sandbars are kind of like speed bumps in the ocean. And I remember just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this is a little sketchy, but you don't think anything of it. I was just kind of like, another day, here we go. Not sure how long I was out there for, but I ended up paddling into a wave, going right. And the next thing I know is, shooting down the line a little bit, and I just abrupt stop, and my board stops, and I just was projected forward. I hit the ground, hit it with my head, and, everything turned black. And then I remember just being face down in the water. I'm like, what just happened? And I was like, oh, all right, you just fell off your board. I'm like, just swim. And then, quickly realizing that I was like, I can't swim. And then realizing I'm like, I'm completely paralyzed. So I was just face down in the water, trying to get myself to swim a couple more times and just figuring out that it's not going to happen, and just trying to come to terms with the fact that I was about to die. So yeah, I remember all the thoughts that were going through my mind. And at a certain point, everything turned really bright, really white. And I shot up out of my body extremely fast. And that was it. The next thing that I remember was being on the beach, waking up surrounded by a bunch of people, paramedics, firefighters. And what I pieced together later on, what my friend John told me is that, after a duration of time that we are not sure how long it was, we estimate as little as 5 minutes, or could be as much as 15 minutes. We just don't know, that he saw my board kind of shot up in the water, because it was still attached to, my leash was still attached to my ankle. He paddled over and he found me just face down, and he flipped me over, and my face was just completely blue and purple, and I was just gone. And he dragged me onto the shore. Someone called 911 who was on the beach, and John began CPR on me. He said after about the fourth go around, he just saw like a trickle of water coming out of my mouth. And then he looked up and the paramedics were sprinting over. So the paramedics took over CPR, brought me back. I didn't really know what was happening. It was all just moving so quickly. And I was rushed to the emergency room. My heart was in like AFib, so just jacking up to like 200 something beats a minute, then dropping all the way down to like 25 beats a minute. So they had me in the ER and the ICU and just stabilized me. And then from then on, it was just figuring out which way things are going. My legs weren't working. I could feel my upper body. I was in an immense amount of pain from all the nerve damage from just compressing my neck. And I could move my left arm. I could move my torso a bit. My right arm couldn't move as much, and my right hand was completely locked into like a claw that I couldn't move. And then my legs weren't working. So I got MRIs and then figuring it out, and then basically was told by the surgeon, he's like, look, I want you to get this surgery. If you do it, we think there's a chance that you could walk again. There's a chance that you could recover. You're young. You're really fit. And we want to give you this opportunity. And so I was like, let's do it. I had a 9.5-hour spinal fusion operation. They put a titanium rod in there and fused together my C3 to C5. And from there on out, it was just hospitals. Got transferred from the hospital in San Francisco to a rehabilitation center about 45 minutes north. And I was there for a few weeks, just kept working my ass off every day. And for me, it started with, the encouragement from my physical therapist and from my nurses. I was able to move my right foot. And I remember when I was able to move that I was like, okay, this is game on. Just knowing that it was going to take all the willpower that I had in myself to learn how to walk again and to move. But once I had that movement in my right foot, I was like, if I can move that, I can walk. If I can walk, I can run eventually. So just believing in myself that I can do it. Of course you have your dark days, a lot of depressive days, just lying in the hospital bed, just not knowing what was going to happen, just not knowing who I was anymore. Was I going to have to live as, a paralyzed individual for the rest of my life? Was I going to just a lot of uncertainty, but it was just, every single day, just putting in the work and just getting a little bit better, every day.
What were you going through in your mind during that time period? I mean, you already said, who am I now and how am I going to live the rest of my life? But
yeah.
Man, there got to be some challenging thoughts in there.
Yeah, just like I was saying, it's like, all right, like, who are you as an individual now? Because are you gonna be able to work ever again? You can't do, what you love to do. You can't do, you can't run, you can't bike, you can't surf, you can't do any of these things. So trying to figure out in my mind, like, where all of this was going. And, just having these dark days in the hospital alone with the breathing tube down my mouth because they weren't sure if I was going to like have a heart attack at night or something. Just really trying to figure it out. But I was just very grateful that I had so many people in my life that were just showing up for me and encouraging me. I had friends fly from different states to come and see me in the hospital. Just people I haven't spoken to in years were just showing up. And I really just had just such a strong network and support base that really helped push me to get through this.
Wow. You said that when you were in the water face down that you realized you were going to die, and then you felt yourself leave your body and everything turned really bright. What is that like?
Yeah. It's kind of indescribable. I don't know how to describe it to anyone who hasn't had this experience. It was just terrifying. Not knowing where I was going and just, thinking to myself, I'm just like, this is so unfair. There was so much more that I wanted to do with my life, so much more I wanted to accomplish, and just being terrified of where I was going, what was happening. And then finally it was more a sense of acceptance, like here it comes and this is inevitable right now, so it's happening. And then, when that really bright white light kind of washed over me, it was more a sense of peace and love. And I didn't have fear at that point. And then when I shot up, it was just an incredible amount of speed just shooting out of my body. And, I believed that was my spirit leaving my body and transitioning. But I also think that it just wasn't my time. I believe that I have more left to accomplish in this world. I think my work is not done here. So now it's, trying to put together exactly what my purpose is and what I can do here. But just being grateful, absolutely grateful for every moment that I have, every night that I have, not taking things for granted. Something like this will change your perspective completely, and just not taking any days for granted, and trying to spread that message to other people. You never know when your time's going to come. It wasn't like I went surfing that day and I was like, this is, a good day to die. It was like, no, we all just think we're just going to keep doing things and we're just going to go through our lives. And there's always going to be a tomorrow, when in reality, we just never know what's going to happen. So really embracing your life and utilizing every day that we have here, and just how are you going to show up every day?
I've heard people say and heard of people who said things like, after I had this experience, I quit taking life so seriously. New set of priorities. Love matters more now, not the job so much. I'm more interested in interacting with other people than how much money I make. Those sorts of statements. Where do those hit you?
Yeah, resonates with me as well. Taking life serious, it's like I still take most of the stuff I do seriously, but at the same time, it's just a lot of stuff like I don't allow myself to get angry over many things anymore. Very cognizant of where I'm putting my energy and where I'm putting my time and who I'm surrounding myself with. Realizing the things in this world that matter and that don't matter. Yeah.
How do you figure that one out, man? What matters and what doesn't matter? People always, they're like, oh man, that's the hard one.
Yeah. I think we all just kind of, as a society, we're just trained to operate in a certain level, and there's a lot of narratives surrounding what should be the priority in our lives, what we should do, what the expectations of us are. When in reality with me, it's like I died and I came back. So I am on borrowed time. I feel like I'm winning every day. Being here with you, having this conversation is a win for me, because in reality, anything I do from this point forward should not have happened in reality. I can't explain fully why I returned, why I'm back here, but I have to believe that it's for a reason and just my time wasn't up. So it completely changes your perspective on what matters in your life and what doesn't. Certain things that used to bother me do not bother me at all anymore. And I think it's just reevaluated. For me, it's reevaluating, like what is important to me and what's not. And I think, just pouring all my time into making money, it's just like, okay, like what is money? There's a certain amount that can keep you comfortable and bring you some happiness, but a lot of people on this planet just pursue it at any cost, and for me, it was like before, it was like working a lot of overtime. And then now I'm looking back and I'm like, why? So if I have something going on or just I'm not feeling like it, or I want to do something with my life, I'm not going to go out and work if I don't have to. I would rather just enjoy the experiences of what I'm doing and my family and who I surround myself with than pursuing money over anything.
Wow. I think we need to just let that soak for a second.
Yeah, it's heavy, right?
Yeah. So I assume you wrestled with this stuff in your book.
Yeah, I mean, talk a lot about, who I was before the accident and then who I am now after it. I think before my accident, I struggled really to live in the present, constantly reliving regrets from my past or having anxiety of things that may or may not happen in the future and just struggling to live in the present moment. And for me, I think that's all we have is this present moment. So it's just not getting too worked up about things that may happen down the line or may not happen, and just enjoying the experience, enjoying the ride of life, and just being intentional with what I'm doing and how I'm spending my time. Yeah.
So the book, we'll come back to it, but the book is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to, okay, you can move your foot a little bit. It's like, game on. If I can move this, I'll learn to move that. And if I can do that, I can...
Yeah.
How long from that point forward did it take for you to think, I can run a big one again?
Once I could move the foot and I was able to kind of walk around first, like, assisted with the walker, and then I was in the wheelchair for quite a while, and then just kind of graduating up to stuff. I was in the hospital and I kept telling anyone that would listen, physical therapists, nurses, being like, I have this race, the Moab 240, that I'm going to do in 3 months, and just having people look at me like, yeah, okay, like maybe we should check your brain scans again, or like, yeah, like how about we go to the bathroom unassisted, or maybe walk down the hallway on your own before you talk about running crazy races. And so, I mean, everybody thought I was nuts, but for me, it was like, that was like my North Star. That was what was going to make me better. I just put all my energy into focusing on that. And I just knew that if I could get to that start line, and it didn't matter if I could do 2 miles or I could finish the race, it was a win for me getting there. It was more of a reclamation of my own life from being in a position where I couldn't move and thinking that I was going to be paralyzed for the rest of my life, to getting to something as enormous as the Moab 240. It was just part of reclaiming my identity, reclaiming my life, and showing to myself that I could still do things, that I could still do amazing things. And I wasn't going to allow this accident to dictate the rest of my life. So yeah, it was quite a lot. I mean, just no one wanted me to do it. No one thought it was a good idea. And obviously there were concerns that I would do more damage to myself. But I made a promise to my family that, going back to what I was talking about, knowing the difference between good pain and bad pain, and if bad pain became too severe, then I would stop. So I was able to finish 144 miles the first time that I did it. And at that point, my body, I was in just so much pain. And that's when I just knew. I was like, here's that bad pain, and I just need to tap out. So it was really difficult for me to give that up and to stop. And, you know, it was really emotional. I was crying. Part of me felt like a failure in the beginning, and then I had to stop and just be like, stop telling yourself that. Like, you were just able to accomplish the impossible here. Even though you didn't finish, you still ran such a significant amount, and you got yourself to this position. And 3 months ago, you were completely paralyzed. So giving myself a little bit of grace with that. But yeah, I told myself that I needed to stop at that point because I didn't think I had anything left to prove. And I was just in so much pain that I had to throw in the towel there.
Man, that's crazy. Patrick, that is crazy. What did it feel like at the starting line when you're like, I'm here, I'm going for it. They said I couldn't. They said I shouldn't.
Yeah. Surreal, euphoric. I felt like it was like outer body. It was almost like I didn't feel like I was there. And I really had to remind myself, like, this is happening. You're here. And just being so proud of myself in that moment. My friend Abe had come with me, and he was my crew for the event. And I remember him and I just embracing and hugging, and like just tears in our eyes, just thinking about, you know, what I've been through and where I'd come to get there. Yeah, it was just crazy.
That is something else. And then you're upset with yourself because you only did 144 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's human nature, isn't it? We set a goal. If we don't reach the goal, and it's like, oh, man, I didn't make it. But holy cow, dude, you did 144 miles after being paralyzed 3 months earlier.
Yeah. So, I mean, being, you know, I was disappointed, but that was also my old self creeping in, and that sense of being so hard on myself. That was something that I had my entire life, unfortunately, that I'd always be really critical of myself. And I remember in that moment just kind of just crying and being like, you couldn't finish this, and having those old unwavering thoughts creep back into my mind, being like, you're a failure. And then like after like, you know, a few minutes, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you just did such an amazing thing. And I remember my friend Abe coming up to me, and I was just kind of crying and overwhelmed with pain and just the, you know, mental anguish of what I've been going through, and just being like, I don't think that I can go anymore. And he says, you know, you have nothing left to prove. He goes, you've done the impossible here. You have nothing left to prove. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I got in his van and we took off. But yeah, it was quite something.
That's amazing. I heard a life coach on YouTube last week saying something about that inner voice. The old self is what you just called it.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, that's programming that we learn at some point in our life.
Yeah.
You know, it could be parents, It could be friends, it could be teachers, it could be preachers. I mean, who knows? But someone taught us that voice.
Yeah.
And I think we all have it. Everybody. It's not like people are unique because they're self-critical or, you know, they had, and then he says, you got to realize that voice is probably a 3-year-old or an 8-year-old or something like that. And it's talking to you like you're a 3-year-old, not the amazing person that you've become.
Right.
But his point was just laugh at it, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
He said, don't fight it. That doesn't work. But it's like, oh, there's that voice again. Oh, that's funny. That program, it's been running a while.
I was, like you're saying, acknowledging it and just being like, oh, there you are. Okay. Thank you for your feedback. And then see you later.
Now I'm moving on.
Getting it out of there, being like, I appreciate that. All right. Talk to you later.
Have you built the skill with that voice? I mean, since this race, you know, and that experience, did that help you to be like, oh, yeah, I'm not listening to that right now?
Yeah. Going back to, I've died. And, you know, I like to think that some of these negative parts of myself that, you know, I was before it died with that. I think part of me died on that beach, and maybe a better version of myself has come back with it. A lot of that negative self-talk. It's really detrimental, but there is a portion of it that can be beneficial in these ultra races. I'm not really not like a David Goggins type, like being like, good, just negatively yelling at myself to do something. But like when I am in these races, sometimes I will talk to myself and just be like, keep pushing. You got this. These people don't know what you've been through. You want this more than they want it. So it's like when I did that race in Tahoe this last weekend, just running past people, you see people in the distance and I'm like, I'm on them. And, they don't want it as bad. They haven't been through what I've been through. So just keep going. And, it helps me a bit to push me in these races for sure.
So you went back and finished the last 100 miles of the Moab 240, right?
Yeah, I finished the entire 240 miles in October.
So you reran the whole thing?
Yep. I got back in and I did it. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's crazy. How are you doing now? So it's been almost 2 years, right?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years on July 10th. I still have a lot of residuals from it. Like I have a lot of nerve pain kind of always that radiates through my neck, my spine, my arms, sometimes in my torso, sometimes on my right leg. I've just kind of learned to live with the pain in a weird way. It reminds me that I'm still alive, but also just being grateful for where I'm at and what I have. Given the alternative, I'll take this pain all day long.
Wow.
And then I still can't do everything that I used to do. I used to be a really big basketball player. That's pretty difficult for me because the contact, like if I get banged, that really is not good. And then I don't, like my neck won't move as well. So it's like, and the dynamics, my lateral movements is still a little more difficult. Surfing is still difficult. First and foremost, the paddling, having the rod in my neck and keeping my neck up is hard. And then obviously the mental aspect of it. I've been out about 4 times, but I'm kind of terrified inside every time I do it. So I'm just trying to build myself back up slowly and not rush into things with it.
Yeah, man, you're answering my next question was, what did it feel like to get back on the surfboard the first time?
Yeah. I told myself that I would do it within a year of the accident. So I did it the day before the 1-year anniversary of my accident. And I went out there with one of my best friends, my neighbor, and we went out, and I was terrified the whole week going out. And it was a small day, but I went right out to the spot where I had the accident and paddled back out. And I swear it was just the craziest thing because I paddled into the first wave that I saw and I stood up and pumped down the line. And I was just like, I thought for sure I'd just fall right off just because, my balance was still not that great and everything that was going on. But I stood up and I pumped down the line. Nice. And I remember just hopping off the wave and just screaming and just being so happy. And that's all. I only stayed out there for like half an hour and, did a couple waves and then came back in and just was kind of crying like on the beach, just realizing the magnitude of what happened and where I was at. And, and I swear to you, it was like a gray overcast day. But like when I got out into the water, it was like the fog went away and the sun came out and was just shining down right on me. It was just almost like it was all meant to be. It was just really transcending for sure.
I think it was meant to be. That's why you're here.
Yep. Yeah.
Man, what a beautiful story. The book, is it out now and available?
I'm still searching for a publisher right now, but if I don't get one within the next 2 months, I'll just self-publish it and get it out there.
Okay, everyone. It's Patrick Yalon, and the book is still here. And it will be coming to a bookstore or Amazon near you at some point. That's beautiful, man. Well, Patrick, thank you for sharing your story and your perspective. I mean, I don't even know what to say, except that we're celebrating with you. It's amazing. Golly. And stay strong, man. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for having me, Kurt. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and everyone, we all make our excuses, but if Patrick can run 240 miles after being paralyzed, I think maybe we can get off the couch and get out there and have some fun.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you.